The inspiration behind starting Venn was a culmination of a whole bunch of different things. For those who've listened to the podcast and heard other things I've talked about, I've had this entrepreneurial spirit my entire life. And over the years, always wanted to run a business, whether it was one that I started on my own or one that I grew my way through. And there was just kind of this perfect storm where I just had this realization that I loved the work that I did. I was good at it, and I felt confident that I could feed my family doing it. And bundled into that was this desire to create a workplace that was different, a workplace that was unique. And as I've said many times before, I wanted to create the kind of place that I wanted to work for. And over time, it's kind of evolved and changed a little bit, but that same spirit is still very much present here in Venn 10 years later. So there were a couple of things that kind of came to mind when I was naming the company, and it really started with this idea that in any system implementation, there's three components. There's people, process, and technology. And when you look at our logo, we've got three circles, three rings that make up our logo, the Venn diagram portion of it, and they represent people, process, and technology. What we aim to do is not implement technology for the sake of technology, but implement technology where it intersects with the people and the process so that we can actually provide a successful overall solution. Bjørn he's a lot of things. He's from Estonia. He loves the cold. And I think that Bjørn in a lot of ways is kind of the embodiment of the spirit that we have at Venn. We really try to have a lot of fun, and what's more fun than a quirky Yeti? The origin story of Bjørn is one of my favorites as I look back over these years, moments that are still so seared in my mind. It was 2019, we were getting ready to sponsor a conference, one of the most important events for us of the year. We were sitting around a table in our conference room many offices ago. We're brainstorming, like, how can we really knock this event out of the park? For those that know, I love Yeti products, and I love giving away things that I love. And so for years, we've sent out tons of different Yeti campaigns. And so I thought, man, what if we give away not just Yeti drinkware, but what if we gave away a Yeti cooler? And I thought, no, let's give away a bunch of Yeti coolers. And I said, guys, I have a stupid idea. Anytime somebody says I have a stupid idea, it ends up being gold, and we almost always end up doing it. My idea was win a Yeti from a Yeti. Where could we get a life-size Yeti costume? And sure enough, with just enough Googling, you can find anything you want on the internet. Thus, Bjørn was born. If you've been at a conference, if you've been in our office, you've seen our life-size Yeti costume. Bjørn is just something that we've had lots and lots of fun with over the years. The most obvious is just the size. When we started, it was me, a one-man shop working out of my home office that's roughly the size of our studio. And today we're about 30 people. When I look at going from the very early days in terms of our revenue to where we're at now, it's staggering when I think about just how much it's grown. We've gone from the home office to the first office, which was barely the size of our conference room, to the next office, and today we own our own building, things I never ever expected that we would have. We've won awards, we've been asked to speak and do all kinds of things. We've been able to expand our offering over the years. Something I tell people all the time is that we started as a Salesforce consulting firm that did integration work, and today we've evolved into an integration firm that does Salesforce work. At the same time, with a lot of things that have changed, there's a lot that has stayed the same, and that spirit of wanting to be the kind of place that you'd want to work, like that remains, and that is just something I never see changing. I would have been probably a little bit more aggressive in the early days in terms of growth and hiring. might have taken a little bit more risk than I did in those early days. I would probably go back and things that we tried but weren't ready for, probably would go back and say, hey, we need to put that on hold until we're at a place that we can really do this well. I would have probably, made investments in different areas of the company sooner. Apart from things like that, I'm really thrilled with the way that things have turned out. Despite what you see on social media, there are hard days and there are things that don't always go well and go right. One of the things that has taken me a really, really long time to learn is that as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, it's hard. Like, it just is. At the same time, when those things hit, when those things are coming at you that are hard, very seldom does the true worst case scenario play out. And it's seldom as bad as you think it is or as think it's going to be. We've had lots and lots of challenges over the years, and we're still standing. We're still doing great. We've still got an incredible team. You got to pick your head up and you got to fight through. Bjørn, he's just the central theme. That's a big part of the brand. I love Bjørn. I think back to some of these mailers that we did in the really early days. Something that's been so much fun. The very first campaign we ever did, we mailed out all these different Yeti products and things to go with them. And for years, even to this day, I will get texts and pictures of people on the golf course, on a boat, on a ski lift, whatever, with their Venn branded Yeti. That's been so much fun to see how people have really, leaned into it and gravitated toward it. We talk about not eating our own dog food, but drinking our own champagne. And years back, we did our champagne series where we sipped champagne and talked about the tools and integrations and automations that we built for ourselves. We went through a lot of champagne. And so anyway, that was a lot of fun. And when those videos pop back up every once in a while, I always have a good chuckle. It's a dangerous thing when you have people and tools and skills to build integrations and automations for yourself, because you can get a little carried away. But I think probably my favorite, we used Zoom since 2017 or 18, before it was cool. We realized that our Zoom storage for our recordings, is starting to get expensive. And so for many, many years, we've had this automation that goes and it grabs our video, audio, and text transcript recordings, and it brings it over into our Google Drive in this highly nested folder structure for customer, and then from there within the opportunity, and then within there, projects. Once we actually get a deal underway, we've built this really sophisticated sharing capability so that anybody that was ever on a call has the ability to get to that recording, whether or not they were the owner. The ability to get people throughout the entire organization information about a customer, about a prospect that's relevant to what they're working on has been an absolute game changer. When I first started the business in 2015, through some other former classmates of mine at Texas A&M, I'd heard about this thing called the Aggie 100. One of the first things I did shortly after I started the business was look at the criteria, what do you have to do to be considered for the award. And you had to have been in business for X number of years, and you had to have been in certain revenue thresholds. And then from there, it got measured on your growth. I kind of had it marked on the calendar of when could we actually apply for this? That finally came around, and in our first year, we were, I think, number 23 on the Aggie 100. So in other words, we were the 23rd fastest growing Aggie owned and operated company, and that was huge. We've made the Inc. 5000 list for the last 5 years, I think, 4 or 5 years. And our first year, we were I think number 932, which meant we were in the top 20% of fastest growing privately held companies in America. That was awesome. We've made the Dallas Best Places to Work list, which that one is really special to me. If you know anything about me and you know anything about the company, our culture and our people are just so important, and to get recognized as one of the best places to work was huge. But the one that means the absolute most to me was one that we didn't apply for. And that, in fact, is why it was most meaningful to me. So several years back, we were at the Sage conference, and we're in one of the partner breakouts, and they said, okay, and we're going to announce our marketplace partner of the year. And I had no idea that was even a thing, and didn't know it was coming. They start to describe this company, and I'm like, that sounds an awful lot like us, but there's no way that's us. They keep talking like, but who could it be? It's not us, but who could it be? And when they get to the end, they said, and we'd like Scott Hollrah from Venn Technology to come up and accept this award. And I choked up. And we ended up winning that award 2 years in a row. And again, the reason why that one is just so incredibly special to me, with these other awards, we've had to nominate ourselves effectively. And this is one where our friends, our peers, our partners in the ecosystem proactively recognized our team for the work that they do. And when it's that genuine and it comes from outside of yourself, it just means that much more. There are many, many things that would have just shocked me. Owning a building. That wasn't on my radar at all. Never in a million years would have expected that. The first year that we crossed $1 million in revenue, in the grand scheme of things in a business, it's not a huge amount of money. But at the end of that first year, like, to think that $1 million passed through our bank account in 1 year, when this had just started a few years before as a one-person shop in their home office, like, that was just mind-blowing to me. The fact that we've got a team the size that we have today, the fact that we've been recognized by different groups, and maybe not surprised in like a shocking way, the community that we've built, the relationships that we've built with our partners and our customers, and just how deep and meaningful those have been, has been a wonderful, wonderful surprise. Today, I still want to continue building the kind of company that I want to work for, and that hasn't changed. I love the fact that we work hard, we do great things for our customers. We've got incredible customer satisfaction. We do good work, and we have a lot of fun doing it. I think that everyone here genuinely enjoys being a part of the team and the people that they get to work with. A lot of that kind of comes back to our core values. Our number one value that we talk about the most is one team. There's a lot of companies where you've got to step on somebody else to get ahead. And I've never understood that. It doesn't seem healthy. It's not the kind of place that I want to work. And so we're going to win together, we're going to lose together, but either way, we're going to do it together. The original vision, I think, was very high level. This thing that I'll just keep repeating, it was create the kind of company you want to work for, and that hasn't changed. But I think over time, the details of that vision have kind of filled in a little bit more and become a little bit more clear. Starting out, I went into this not knowing if this was going to be a one-person shop forever, or if it would be me and a few people, or me and many people. And it's not many people today, but it's many more than I ever expected it would be. We have a core value that we call compounding growth, and it's one that we think about both externally and internally. And it's kind of this virtuous cycle of the bigger we get, the more organizations we can help. And I truly believe that the work that we do fundamentally changes an organization and propels them toward succeeding their mission. I fundamentally believe that what we do makes an impact on the lives of the people within those companies. And one of the things we talk about a lot is we want to get that burnt out controller, CFO, whatever role they may fit in the organization. We want to free them to focus on what they're best at by putting these automations in place so that they can get to their kids' soccer game or whatever the soccer game might be for them. We want to grow by serving these organizations externally, but in order to do that, we need to bring more people into our organization. And again, I feel like as an organization, we offer something different than a lot of people are going to find in a lot of other workplaces. And so we can bring more people internally into our fold and get to have the Venn work experience, which then enables us to serve more organizations, get more people to their kids' soccer game, but we need more people to do that. And so this compounding growth cycle just continues to go round and around. So I went to school at Texas A&M, and if you know anything about Texas A&M, there are lots and lots of traditions. In fact, there's a saying that if you do it twice, it's a tradition. I don't think I can pick just one. Several that come to mind. We are proudly a Texas-based business, and Texas Independence Day, I personally think, should be a state holiday. We're going to do our part, and whenever Texas Independence Day falls on a weekday, it is a company holiday here at Venn. Starting very early on, once a quarter, we would take a day and do what we called our internal hackathon. The idea behind that was, you've heard the expression, the shoemaker's kids never have shoes. Well, we're building all this great technology for our customers. We need to make sure that we have the same kind of capability in-house. For many, many years, we've taken a full day every quarter where we just work on our own stuff to make our own operations that much better. Vennsgiving. Every year at Thanksgiving time, we do a potluck. And one of my favorite things when we got moved into our building was we had this big kitchen. And so we've got room for everybody to spread their goodies out all over. And I smoke a brisket and people bring all kinds of delicious sides. And it's just it's a really fun time to take a break in the work week and just get to enjoy the company of our colleagues. At the end of the day, we spend way too much time working to not enjoy it. The work today looks a lot different than it did 10 years ago, and even 5 years ago, and even 2 years ago. The thing that I ask myself regularly is, are the things that we're doing or the places that we're headed, are they going to continue to perpetuate that idea of, is this the kind of company I would want to work for? I think that's the ultimate litmus test and definition of success. Yeah, we still need to grow, and there's plenty of internal metrics that we track. If we're focused on maintaining that work atmosphere, that's the kind of place that you want to work, and we're succeeding in that, we're succeeding overall. "10 years has flown by. Like, it's just absolutely crazy when I think about starting in my home office and all that's happened, and here we are. I feel like I blinked and we got here. It's not been without its struggles, but there's been so many fun highs and just incredible experiences. I wanted to take a minute just to express gratitude to so many people. To our customers, we have a wall in our office and we've got your logos all up and down this wall. That is there to act as a reminder that our customers are the ones that make us successful, and it's our responsibility to make sure that we make them successful. So thank you for trusting us. When you take on an engagement like this, it starts off really nebulous. Grateful that you've given us the opportunity and trusted us to come in and help you improve your systems. To our partners, man, we wouldn't be anything without our partners. You are the conduit to our customers. We've developed so many great relationships. We've developed so many great friendships over the years. And so to our partners, I say thank you. To our team, man, I'm not the guy getting the work done anymore. It's been a long time since I've been the guy getting the work done anymore. And so for those of you that come in every day dedicated to making our customers successful, thank you so much. To my dad, who has been a big part of exposing me to this field growing up around this, and for opening doors in the early days and making intros. Thank you. And finally, to my wife, you have put up with late nights, travel, and more travel. You've been a sounding board for the hard days. You've kept everything going in the family, and if you hadn't been so supportive, we wouldn't be here 10 years later. So thank you, Elise.